So, all right, you're sitting in a bar. You're between two people.
Okay.
And I walk up to you. I say, right now, you've got to punch somebody next to you. But wait, to your left is Mike Tyson. And to your right is The Rock. So who are you going to punch?
Okay, Mike's got some mean tattoos.
Of course. So does The Rock, though.
So does The Rock.
Yeah.
So I'm going to punch you. Welcome to the Leadership Kit. Okay, so one time, my best friend, Ryan Parker, and I were going camping, and we saw a deer cross the road on the wildlife preserve on our way to the campsite. Immediately, Ryan stops the truck, and we both jump out without saying a word to each other, and we proceed to chasing this deer. It was a pretty large doe, and we chased it to the fence of the wildlife reserve and cornered it between a fence and a tree, and Ryan was coming up from behind it and I was coming up from in front of it, and we got about 20 feet from this deer. We stopped and we looked at each other and we realized we don't know what we're going to do once we catch this deer, and it's probably going to hurt us because we're not going to hurt it. So we walked back to the truck, hopped in, and drove to our campsite.
That is called a good decision. So we were going to talk a little bit about decision making. Sometimes we get kind of caught up in moments like that where we haven't really thought out exactly what we're going to do, or we're stuck between only two options, or we only have bad choices in front of us, like tackle the deer from the front or the back. Either way, it's not going to work out. So
someone's getting a hoof to the face.
So we have some rules about decision making. I have some rules about decision making that I want to share with you guys, and some mindset things that I think kind of helps a lot of us move forward from really tough decisions. The first thing I want to talk about, laying a little foundation, is I had a friend who was going through some really, I call him C Money. So if you're watching this,
C Money,
please leave a comment. Coleman, we love you, brother. Anyways, he was talking about some really personal family issues that he was dealing with, and how he had to make some really tough decisions based on what was going on with his family. Without getting into it too much, he kind of felt like he was stuck between a rock and a hard place. I told him this is something I had to learn from experience going through really difficult times of my own, was whenever you make a right decision, let's say you've got two choices, choice A or choice B. Whenever you make the choice A, we'll say that's the one that plays out to be the right decision ultimately. As soon as you made choice A, once you've made that decision, the next thing that's going to happen to you is another decision is going to be placed in front of you.
One decision is always followed by another decision. Life is nothing but a series of decisions. So if you're dreading making a decision, you might as well go ahead and get it out of the way and get used to it, because as soon as you make that decision, you're going to have to make another decision. Whatever choice you make, there's going to be some kind of consequence. Hopefully it's a good consequence.
Right.
But either way, you're going to be presented with new data, a new set of information, a new series of events is going to occur, and you're going to have to make a decision. If you live in indecision, you're never going to get anything done. And if you live in ultimate indecision, you're probably going to die of starvation. Because
I've been on a lot of dates that almost ended that way. Where do you want to go to eat? I don't know. Where do you want to go?
Oh, I'm good with anything. That leads us to our next point. Like, if you don't make a decision, you're making a decision to not decide. And that ultimately also has consequences. So I don't know about you, but for me, I prefer to have some kind of say, or at least a sense of some kind of say in where I'm going next, what I'm doing. You know, if I'm going to take responsibility for my own actions, I'd like them to be my own actions.
Let's say you take decision B, option B, and you move forward with that. And like no matter how terrible the outcome really is, you might look into way in the future, you might look back and think, man, I wish I did the other. But you're not going to regret not doing anything. You're going to make decision B, you're going to move forward, and you're going to realize there's just one more decision that follows it. Nothing has changed. The series of events only started. And just because you picked A or B neither one determines the outcome of your life. It determines what decision you face next.
Once you've made a decision, your next decision could be to take a step back and try again. But what you can't do is beat yourself up over the decision you made in the past. You already made it. It's over, right or wrong. If it's wrong, you need to be able to admit it's wrong. If it's right, then just know you did a good job and use that to build confidence making the next decision. Don't dwell on the past. All you can do is make the best decision you can with the information you have right now, and just do it and go forward with it. The best leaders are quick to make decisions. Mm-hmm. They're going to gather as much information as is readily available. They're not just going to make a decision on the spot necessarily if they don't know kind of the factors at play. But once you pull in the key factors, they're just going to make a decision. And if it's wrong, they'll make the next decision to either backtrack or to course correct slightly to get back on track. But you need to get comfortable with making decisions.
Our granddad lived to be 89 years old. He was an incredible man, and we looked up to him our entire lives. And one of the things he told me when he was older was that you regret the things you don't do. So you've got to make some kind of choice and take some action. Sitting stagnant only causes regret.
The thing about decisions is we talked about whether you choose route A or route B.
I know where you're going. I love it.
The best leaders know how to avoid ultimatums. Mm-hmm. Whenever you feel stuck in a decision, a lot of times it's for one of two reasons. One, you don't have enough information. If you don't have enough information to make a good decision, it's going to be hard to make a good decision. Mm-hmm. And you need to seek the wise counsel of others. It's biblical for a reason. The other reason why sometimes we feel stuck making a decision is because they're both crappy decisions. And this is where you get to be creative. You get to remove yourself from the situation and look at it with a big picture. You're the leader. It's your job to see the big picture. Look at the big picture and find a way to work around the variables. Someone might tell you you have to choose A or B. In reality, you don't have to choose A or B. You can choose C. You can choose a blend of A, B, and C. Either way, like don't get trapped in an ultimatum. When we were talking with Mayor Bill Mutz a couple weeks ago, he talked about this, about how they had a decision to make with a statue in Lakeland, how it offended some people, but the people that put it there, but other people found a sense of pride in it. And so instead of removing the statue and appeasing one group and offending the next group, they found a way to move the statue to a place where it's more appropriate and honor both groups in the process. And that's the sign of a good leader, being able to take something that seems like being stuck between a rock and a hard place and making lemonade out of it. That's not how that works, is it?
I don't think it is. We know hesitation kills, just like pulling out into traffic. If you don't make a confident decision, you could end up holding people back behind you, or you could end up hurting somebody in front of you. And we also know that it's detrimental when we put ourselves in an either-or situation. And the last point, which is going to be so short because it's so self-explanatory, is today's decision doesn't determine the rest of your life. Not making a decision could.
Thanks for liking, commenting, and subscribing. We'll see you next week on TOK.